Welcome to Mindful with Minaa, where we explore how mindfulness can enhance your relationships and well-being. I'm your host, Minaa B, a licensed social worker, mental health educator, and author. Through insightful discussions, I will guide you towards self-awareness and self-efficacy, empowering you to effectively manage your relationships, reduce burnout, and be more present with yourself. So let's jump into today's episode. What's up, Mindful community? Welcome back to another episode of Mindful with Minaa. And today I want to specifically talk to parents and caregivers of young children because I want to talk to you about how you can foster your young child's mental health. I used to work as a mental health consultant in early Head Start, where I worked with children ages 0 to 5 on their social emotional development. And while doing that, I was also working with the families and parents to give them tips, tools, and practices on how they can nurture their child's mental health and social emotional development, while also giving parents some tools themselves on how they can take care of their own social and emotional development. And so I want to take some time to speak to those who are raising young children because from birth to age 5, a child's brain is developing at an incredible rate, and the experiences they have during these years can shape their mental health and emotional well-being for life. And this is something a lot of people do not know. A lot of parents do not have an understanding of early childhood development. I low-key kind of hate that a lot of resources are gate-kept behind degrees and informational trainings that cost a lot of money, when I do believe that anybody who is having a baby should have informative and educational sessions around early childhood development, because there are a lot of things that people just do not know about raising small kids or raising kids in general. So let's start by discussing why the early years matter, specifically ages 0 to 5. These years are critical to a child's development because research tells us that during these years, children's brains develop more rapidly than at any other time in their lives. According to the Center on the Developing Child at Harvard University, by age 3, a child's brain has reached 80% of its adult size. By age 3. The neural connections that form in these early years set the foundation for all future learning, behavior, and emotional health. What's important to understand is that early childhood development isn't just about learning ABCs or 1, 2, 3s. It's about forming secure attachments, emotional regulation, and social skills. These years lay the groundwork for how a child will handle stress, build relationships, and navigate the world as they grow older. That's why it's so important for parents to prioritize their child's mental health from the very beginning. Because guess what, y'all? I, the therapist, end up working with adults who did not have childhoods where they had secure attachments, healthy emotional regulation skills, or even social skills. So this child grows up now to seek care for their mental health and well-being for things that they did not receive when they were young. Another thing to also take into account is that studies show that when children experience trauma between the ages of 0 and 5, it can leave a 20 to 30 year impact on that child. And so this is how you have a lot of adults who are in their 20s, 30s, 40s, whatever. They're older, but they lack emotional maturity. They lack emotional intelligence. They lack social skills. They lack emotional regulation skills. All of those things can be stemming back to experiences that they literally had when they were 2 or 3 years old, but they did not get the help that they needed at that age. So how can parents foster their child's mental health during these crucial years? Well, it might seem like a big task, but the good news is that everyday interactions, routines, and behaviors play a significant role in promoting mental and emotional well-being. So I'm going to break down some strategies that you can literally start implementing today. Another thing I'm going to remind you is you're not going to know what works until you try it. So the first thing that is very, very important for a child to experience, especially at a young age, is a secure attachment. Secure attachment is built when a child knows that they can rely on their parent or caregiver for comfort, support, and protection. When a child feels secure, they're more likely to explore the world around them, develop confidence, develop healthy relationships, have social skills, and handle stress in a healthy way. The best way to build a secure attachment is to be responsive to your child's needs. We know that when an infant is born, for example, they cry when they need their diaper changed, when they want to be fed. And what do? You feed them, you change their diaper, you hold them. You literally tend to their needs. And so by a parent doing that, that child starts to receive comfort and care. And it knows that, oh, when I cry or when I do this thing, there's a trigger. It's cause and effect. When I do this thing, somebody comes and they respond to my needs. That infant is going to grow into a toddler that now has language. They have words and they have really big emotions. And so this means comforting them when they're upset, giving them language to identify what they're feeling, having an emotional wheel in the house so that they can recognize, I feel upset today, and using a face chart to help them understand different emotional expressions. And so help them see, what does it look like for you to be angry? What does it look like for you to be shocked? All of these different emotions can help them be more in tune with the things that they're feeling. And now they also have language to express what they're feeling. Also remember, it's important to be present during moments of connection and show consistent love and care. It's really important, I think, too, for parents to identify what love and care looks like, because there are cultural differences. And sometimes when we grow up in families that are dysfunctional, love can look like harm. So you need to be asking yourself, what does love look like for you? Love is a verb. And so what does love look like in action? And how can you now perform that action for your child? Another thing about secure attachment is remembering that it's not about being a perfect parent, because no one is, but it is about being a good enough parent who is attuned to your child's emotions and needs, and recognizing that there are going to be things that you constantly have to learn about yourself as a parent and about your child as they continue to grow and get older. The second thing I want to share with you is encouraging emotional expression. I'm going to go a little deeper here because I talked about it when I mentioned the emotion wheel, or even the different emotional expressions that you can put up in a child's room. Helping children identify and express their emotions is key to fostering their mental health. It's going to be hard for you to tend to your child's emotional needs if you're teaching your child to suffocate their emotional needs. If you're not giving your child language to identify when they're angry, happy, sad, or upset, you as a parent also have to learn how to sit with your child in the midst of them being angry, happy, sad, or upset. Emotional regulation is a skill that develops over time, and as a parent, you can support this process by modeling healthy emotional expression and teaching your child that all emotions, whether happiness, sadness, or frustration, are valid. We do not want to teach children that if you're sad, that's a bad thing. We want to teach children that if you're sad, that's okay. I'm going to sit with you in this sadness. I want to understand your sadness, and I also want to understand what you need. For young children, especially those that may not have the language skills to express their emotions verbally, you can help by labeling their feelings for them. So, for example, saying, I see you're feeling upset today because your toy broke, helps a child understand and name their emotions. This not only teaches emotional awareness, but also shows them that it's okay to feel what they're feeling. It can also be okay to model that to your child. So letting them know, I had a really hard day and it's leaving me feeling really frustrated. Letting your child recognize that you, the adult, you also have big feelings that you have to work through, and you're modeling to them how you work through those feelings. Another thing that's important is showing empathy. As an adult, I know you do not like it when people dismiss you, put you down, or judge you for what you're feeling. So when your child is upset, get down on their level, make eye contact, and let them know you understand how they're feeling. Let them know that their feelings are not scary to you. Empathy builds trust and helps children feel supported, which is crucial for their emotional development. The third thing that children need is predictable routines. I used to talk about this so much when I was working with my families in early Head Start. A routine not only helps the child thrive, it helps you as the parent or the caregiver thrive. Predictable daily routines help young children feel safe and secure because they know what to expect. Think about it. We as adults generally have routines. If you are somebody who works, whether you work in your home or you work outside of your home, when you wake up, you have an idea of what your day is going to look like. If you have to go to work, you set an alarm clock because you know you have to wake up at a certain time. You also know you have to leave at a certain time. And in between that time, you're figuring out when you're going to have meals. You're figuring out if you're going to go to the gym. You're figuring out how you're going to spend your morning before you leave the house. You then go to work and you know that you're going to be on site for about 8 hours. You have a routine. Children need that just as much as you need that. And by having consistent meal times, bedtimes, and playtimes, this can help reduce anxiety and provide a sense of stability. For example, a consistent bedtime routine like reading a book, taking a bath, and then going to bed at the same time each night can help your child feel more in control and reduce stress. But guess what this can also do? When you have a consistent bedtime routine for your child, that also gives you, the parent, less anxiety and less stress because you have an awareness of this is how we're going to spend the day. This is what the nighttime is going to look like in my household. So now when my child goes to sleep, maybe this is an opportunity for me to do a quick workout. This is an opportunity for me and my partner to bond more. By my child having routines, I have routines. So remember this, routines do not have to be rigid, but some structure helps children feel grounded and supported. And by them having a routine, you can also feel grounded and supported as a caretaker. The next thing that you can do to foster your child's mental health is limit screen time and encourage play. Keyword here is limit. I did not say eliminate screen time, but in today's digital age, it's easier to hand over a tablet or a phone to keep a child entertained or to even soothe them. But research is showing that too much screen time, especially during their early developmental years, can interfere with the child's social and emotional growth. So instead of relying on screens, encourage open-ended play. Play is how young children explore the world and develop critical skills like problem solving, creativity, and empathy. I remember growing up on doll houses and how that literally helped my imagination flourish. Having dolls in the house, having kitchen sets in the house, things that I used to do to mimic my mom when I saw her cleaning the home or mimic my dad when I saw him cooking. I would go into my little play area and I would mirror the things that I saw around me. And when children have an opportunity to do that, it enhances not just their creativity and empathy, but it also enhances their social skills. Another thing that I encourage you to do is play with your child. Figure out what play looks like for you as an adult. Also figure out why there is a resistance to play if you are not the type of person to play with your child, because play can be such a critical component to a child's social and emotional growth. And so remember that sometimes play is structured and sometimes play is unstructured. Give your child freedom to explore their environment and come up with their own games. And coming up with their own games can also foster independence and emotional resilience. The next thing that's important is to teach your child mindfulness and self-soothing. Even at a young age, children can begin to learn simple mindfulness techniques. Teaching your child how to take deep breaths, for example, can help them learn how to calm themselves when they're upset or overwhelmed. I'm going to share a practice that I used to do with the children in early Head Start. We would pretend to have a candle and we would inhale as a way to smell the candle, but then we would exhale as a way to blow out the candle. Another practice we would do is we would give a child an imaginary flower and we will say, this flower is so beautiful. Let's smell the flower and take a big inhale. And so we would inhale to smell the flower, but then we would exhale to blow the flower. These are simple ways that you can practice mindfulness with your child. So that's a key thing to remember too. These are practices that you're not just teaching your child, you can literally do it with them. And so, for example, if your child is feeling frustrated, you might say, let's take a deep breath together and feel our bodies calm down. Let's smell that candle so that it can make us feel good and calm our bodies down. Now let's blow out that candle. And over time, these techniques can become part of their toolbox for managing emotions and stress. But also remember, parenting is hard. It is a hard job, and there are going to be times where you need to regulate your nervous system. So, how about you co regulate together? Because children are always co regulating off of their parent anyway. So, these are techniques that you can be doing together in the midst of also teaching your child these techniques so that when you're not around or they're just having really difficult moments where they're experiencing big feelings, they can figure out what they can be doing to manage their nervous system. The next thing is super important, which is fostering a positive environment, because the environment a child grows up in plays a significant role in their mental health. Creating a positive, nurturing environment where your child feels loved, supported, and valued is essential. This means minimizing stress in the home, encouraging open communication, and being intentional about the energy you bring to your interactions. I'm also going to go a step above here and say it also means being very intentional about the relationships you allow people to foster with your child. Because if you know you had a really difficult relationship with your parents, and now that is your child's grandparents, you have to ask yourself, what do I need to do to make my child feel safe? What does it look like for me to cultivate an environment where my child feels seen and heard and there is psychological safety in the home? And if that means talking to your parents so that you can let them know these are what your boundaries are, these are things that you are exposing to your child, and these are things that you're not exposing to your child, this also helps other family members be involved in the process of making sure that that child feels loved, supported, and valued. So you have to be very mindful of the things that you want your child exposed to. And if you realize that there are people in your family system that have not changed, and engaging with them spikes your nervous system, it spikes your cortisol levels, and it leaves you feeling stressed, it leaves you feeling frustrated, it leaves you feeling overwhelmed, that means you need to put some boundaries in place regarding how those people can interact with both you and your child. The last thing I want to share with you is the importance of encouraging social connections, because social connections are vital for children's mental health. Young children benefit from forming relationships not just with their parents, but also with other children and trusted adults. Socializing in safe, supported environments, whether through play groups, when they go to school, or time with extended family, helps children develop social skills, empathy, and it also helps them have a sense of belonging. So this goes back to what I shared earlier. You want your child to know that they are safe where they are. You want your child to know who is safe. And you also want your child to develop those social skills that they're actually going to utilize in their own life. And so what you expose them to, the people you expose them to, is also going to help them figure out what it means to socialize in a safe, supportive environment. And when they have those skills, they can grow up and get older and learn how to pick friends wisely, and even pick their partner wisely. So one of the ways that you can support your child's social development is by arranging regular play dates. If you don't have any friends who have children that you can set play dates up with, Google play centers in your neighborhood to see if there are activities or social clubs that you can go to with your child so that you can be developing more friendships with other adults who have children, and then your children can now develop healthy friendships. Also, encourage positive interactions with their peers. Teach your children what it means to be in a safe, loving relationship. Teach your children what it means to develop healthy friendships. I think about how culturally it's been so normalized to say things like, oh, if a boy picks on you, that just means he likes you. If a boy is teasing you, that just means he likes you. And I think it's really time for us to reframe that language and say, if somebody picks on you, I want you to ask yourself how it makes you feel and what are the things that you can do in that moment to feel safe. What do you want to say to that kid? What interferes with you speaking up to that kid? Now, of course, this is dependent on the child's age, because there are going to be times where your child might be too young to have that language, but you want to start teaching them from a very early age what it looks like to be in community with other people. Is it okay to hit people? No, it's not. Is it okay to make fun of people? No, it's not. Nobody likes being teased. It doesn't feel good. So when you see these actions happening, you want to reflect it back to the child, ask them what is motivating that behavior, but also ask them them how that behavior makes them feel and what are some things that you guys can be doing together to feel better and move forward in that relationship with that child. So, as I wrap up today's episode, I want to remind you that fostering your child's mental health is not about doing everything perfectly. You did not hear me talk about perfection in any of the points that I made. This is all about being present, consistent, and nurturing your child's emotional well-being in small but meaningful ways. Remember that the early years are crucial, but they are also full of opportunities for growth, learning, and bonding between you and your child. Parenting is a journey, and there are going to be times where you're learning as you go. Because if you're a first-time parent, you never did it before. Also, remember that even if you have multiple children, you are a different parent to each child, because who you were in the stage of life that you were in when you had the first kid can possibly look drastically different by the time you have your second or by the time you have your third. You're literally not the same person. Age-wise, you're not the same person. Mentally, there are different versions of you that exist when you are raising children. So also remember not to be hard on yourself. Understand that you're kind of building the plane as you fly it, which means you are learning more about what it means to be a parent as you parent your child. So thank you so much for tuning in. If you found this episode helpful, please leave a comment if you are listening on Spotify and let me know what comes up for you in your parenting journey and how are you learning to take care of your young child's mental health. Also, remember to follow me on social media for more tips and insight on how to take care of your well-being. Please remember to rate and subscribe to this podcast. And most importantly, remember that I said that parenting is hard, but every mindful moment you create makes a lasting difference. So be kind to yourself and your little ones. Until next time, y'all.